We are just a few days away from NXT No Mercy, where history is on the line. There is a lot to cover with an NXT No Mercy, and in today's video, we are going to cover everything about each match that is on the card. There are 6 matches on this card, and I have to admit, after what happened last night on NXT, I have a feeling that the entire NXT roster is going to be on edge with this one. So I am not going to waste any time. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. I am not going to waste any time. Let's just get straight into it, and we kick things off with one of the matches that was made official last night on NXT, as Josh Briggs does battle with Javon Evans. Now, this whole thing, the rivalry between Briggs and Evans has been going on now for a few weeks, and there's been several key things that we've noticed about this rivalry. For one, Briggs admitted in his vignette last night that he tried so hard to please the entire WWE universe, but never could reach the top. He wasn't able to get to the top of the mountain and become a champion. Yes, he did become NXT UK Tag Team Champion with Brooks Jensen, as they were teaming with Fallon Henley, but it only lasted a few months, and they were essentially the very last ever NXT UK Tag Team Champions before the titles got unified by Pretty Deadly, and the NXT Tag Team titles at Worlds Collide a few years ago. So from that point going forward, Briggs tried. He tried so hard to please the fans, please the crowd, but it didn't work out. He even tried with Yoshiki Inamura, because they were a very powerful team. But the problem was that Yoshiki Inamura, he pretty much just some people believe that he couldn't make it in NXT. Yes, he did get a shot, I think, at the NXT championship, but it didn't. But it just completely backfired on him. In fact, I believe he received that opportunity at. I know it wasn't Heatwave. I want to say it was Great American Bash. Yeah. So it was the Great American Bash. That it was the Great American Bash where Yoshiki Inamura and Obafemi had an instant classic, and that was pretty much the downfall of Josh Briggs, right? Like the moment Inamura lost at the Bash, that was when Josh Briggs started to go down a path that we knew it was bound to happen at some point. And another thing as well, he's bitter by the fact that Javon Evans is one of the youngest talent that NXT has to offer, and at his age, he received a shot at the NXT title and came this close. He became that. He was so much closer to becoming NXT champion than Yoshiki Inamura. So the way I see it, and the way I'm looking at it, it's mostly about jealousy. Briggs is jealous by the fact that Jovan Evans is a fast rising star. Yes, Briggs was a part of NXT during the original Black and Gold brand, the original Black and Gold days. Um, he was only in it for the money, and then, excuse me, and at that point he even competed in the men's in the men's NXT breakout tournament, which I believe that tournament was won by Carmelo Hayes, because I believe in the finals Melo actually defeated Briggs in the finals, and he was able to take advantage of his opportunities that Melo did. Carmelo Hayes took advantage of every opportunity that was presented to him. Two-time North American champion, the last ever cruiserweight champion, former NXT champion, men's breakout tournament winner. He's won War Games, so he rose to the ranks of NXT and became one of the biggest stars in NXT, and now under the teachings, if you will, of the Miz, forming the tag team name Melo Do Miz. I'm pretty sure that Miz could potentially take Melo to glory in on the main roster, but we'll have to wait and see. But again, going back with Briggs, it's all about jealousy, and I think the more jealous he gets, the worse his career will be. The moment he does become a champion in NXT, because the moment he becomes a champion in NXT, fans are not going to the entire WWE universe will not accept Briggs as their champion, and they're just gonna they'll just rant on social media saying, oh, you should give the title to Javon Evans, or give it back to Obafemi, or something like that. So Javon Evans, he's just been doing his own thing. So it's like, why would you want to why do this to Javon? Like, what the hell? But looking at all the evidence, this match definitely favors Javon Evans, because let's be real, the young OG, this entire year, 2025, this entire year has been a solid year for the young OG. He's had multiple opportunities at the NXT Championship. He's been a part of some of the biggest matches in NXT against guys like Dark State, Obafemi, Trick Williams. He's been in some high level match, like high rated matches that you really cannot fathom. So in my opinion, in my prediction, it has to be Javon Evans, because if Evans loses, there's really no telling what will be next for Javon Evans. But knowing him, he'll always just bounce back and just move forward with his career. So but with Briggs, it's like, what happens if Briggs loses? Where does he go from here? What's next for Josh Briggs? And at this point, the possibilities are out there. Speaking of possibilities, next up we have another match that was made official last night between Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe in a weaponized steel cage. This is actually the first time in a long while, actually, that we're seeing a weaponized steel cage. And I believe the last time we had a weaponized steel cage, I think it was like a couple years ago. Was it? Yeah, I think it was a couple years ago was when we last had a weaponized steel cage. I don't remember who was in it though. Um, but actually, I might be able to look it up. Give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second. So as I am attempting to look it up, let's see. All right. Um, let's see. So I believe there have been several weaponized steel. There have been multiple weaponized steel cages on the card throughout NXT's history. Apparently, I can't find one anywhere. Um, let's see. I believe there have been if I remember correctly, there have been several weaponized steel cages throughout history in NXT. One of the most notable ones I think would have to be involving Becky Lynch, if I remember right. I don't remember. It's been such a long time, but um yeah, apparently I can't find it. Oh well. Oh well. Oh well. That's okay. Anyway, so this weaponized steel cage match has become very heated really quickly, and this literally started at Evolution. It literally started at 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 Evolution just a couple months ago, um, where Blake Monroe cost Jordan Grace the NXT Women's title against JC Jane, um, at Evolution, which was insane. Like, I did not think that Blake Monroe would do that, but to be fair, that is all on Jordan Grace. She was the one that accepted the invitation for Blake Monroe to accompany her to ringside. Technically, that is all on Jordan Grace. She cannot blame Blake Monroe for what happened at Evolution. She has no one to blame but herself. But yet Jordan Grace has had a tendency ever since that night. She's had a tendency to pretty much just go full blown on site, under siege. Literally, just anytime she sees Blake Monroe, bam, beat down central. Literally, that is what she does. She did, and their last encounter, their last one-on-one encounter, I believe it was Heatwave. Yes, yes. So yeah, so their last encounter was at Heatwave last month, where Blake Monroe defeated Jordan Grace using an exposed turnbuckle. So this rivalry has gone, excuse me, has gone way over the line. Excuse me. And if I remember correctly, I believe Jordan Grace on NXT defeated Blake Monroe. So they're pretty much tied one apiece. So at this point, this is the rubber match. So it comes down to who wants it more, and honestly, it's Blake Monroe. She's been able to literally manipulate Jordan Grace's mind into her favor, into the favor of of the glamour, and Blake Monroe has done one hell of a job doing it, and if she keeps it up, Blake Monroe will walk out of Fort Lauderdale the winner. So my prediction is Blake Monroe. Next up, the NXT North American title will be defended as Ethan Page defends against Tavion Heights. Now, interestingly enough, this is actually Tavion's very first ever opportunity at a championship in WWE, and this is it's a huge opportunity for Tavion, because ever since he left the NQCC, Tavion Heights has really grown. He's grown into such a popular superstar, such a popular performer, that fans want to see Ethan Page drop the title to Tavion Heights. And with the fact that that Ethan Page has been too preoccupied with the AAA Latin American champion Lauderdale Dr. Wagner Jr. after what happened at Worlds Collide, I have a feeling that Ethan's mind, he's not focused on Tavion Heights or his title defense. He's more focused on Dr. Wagner Jr. and the AAA Latin American Championship, which could give Tavion Heights exactly what he needs to pretty much just pummel the holy hell out of all ego and snatch the title away from Ethan Page. However, if you guys recall last week on NXT Homecoming, even with Dr. Wagner Jr. at sitting in the stands of Full Sail, Ethan Page was able to defeat Tyler Breeze to retain the NXT North American title. But this time he might not be so lucky. So I think honestly, my money would have to be on Tavion Heights. I think if there's one person that can take the title off of Ethan Page, it's definitely Tavion Heights. And I think it's going to be a championship run that fans would love to see. Speaking of championship reigns, next up we have what could very well be one of the biggest main events in NXT history, as Obafemi will defend the NXT title against Ricky Saints. Now last night on NXT, we did have a winner take all. It was the NXT title versus the TNA World title. Obafemi versus Trick Williams. And apparently Mike Santana from TNA was sitting on commentary, and Trick Williams was just bitch slapped him, and then the brawl started. It ended in a no contest, and all hell broke loose. We saw several TNA stars show up, from the likes of Steve Macklin, the current TNA International Champion, I believe it's what it's called. Xia Brookside. We saw Cassie Lee. We saw Jessica McKay, part of the team known as The Inspiration. We saw Moose, part of the System. We saw Brian Myers, another member of the System. We saw Lei Ying Lee as well. There was a lot of talent from TNA that we saw, including Mike Santana, Matt Cardona. There were a lot of people that we saw from TNA. It's almost as if we were getting an invasion similar to the invasion that we got in 2001 with WCW and ECW. But I have a feeling that this time around, there's not gonna be companies being put on the line. I think it's just mostly bragging rights, in my opinion. But yeah. So unfortunately, Trick Williams didn't win back the NXT title, but Obafemi didn't win the TNA World Title either. So it seems like Ricky Saints will be challenging Obafemi only for the NXT Championship, and Ricky Saints earned the opportunity several weeks ago. Weeks ago in a number one contenders match, which obviously led to this Saturday. This is the biggest case of David versus Goliath that we had ever seen. But when you really look at Ricky Saints, this entire year has been nothing but no pun intended, absolute. Because Ricky Saints, people forget, Ricky Saints defeated Shawn Spears earlier this year to become NXT North American Champion and had some incredible matches with that title. However, one conquest remains, and it is the NXT Championship. However, knowing Obafemi, it ain't gonna be easy. And I think if there's one person that can stop Obafemi's reign as NXT champion, it would definitely be Ricky Saints. But let's be real, Obafemi has been very dominant ever since becoming an NXT champion, and he's been hella dominant. So there's really no point in predicting who wins and who loses. The answer is pretty much obvious at this point. Obafemi. Next up, for the first time ever, the WWE Speed Women's Championship will be defended as Sol Ruca will defend against Lainey Reed. Now, Lainey Reed defeated Fabi Apache in the first round from AAA, and then from SmackDown last night she defeated Candice LeRae, who has truly become who much like DIY, she's slowly but surely starting to become a babyface again, and I have a feeling that babyface Candice LeRae can really do a lot of damage, not just in NXT but in WWE as well, on the main roster. And now Lainey Reed has an opportunity to win her very first championship in WWE. But let's be real, Sol Ruca has been a dominant women's speed champion. She has been a very dominant women's North American champion since winning the title earlier this year, back in April, at Stand and Deliver. So I have a feeling that we could potentially see Sol Ruca become the longest reigning and the most dominant women's speed champion ever. So my money is definitely going to be on Sol Ruca, because Lainey Reed, she still has a lot to prove in NXT. And I feel like it should have been Candice LeRae, but it is what it is. That brings us to another match that could potentially be one of the biggest main events of all time. JC Jane, Lola Vice for the NXT Women's title. Think about this. Lola Vice has had a couple opportunities at the NXT Women's title. One of her last opportunities was last year at Heatwave against Roxanne Perez in Toronto, and it took not one, not two, not three, but 4 Pop Rocks for Roxanne Perez to defeat Lola Vice, because Lola Vice would not stop until she became NXT Women's Champion. But this is a much more different version of Lola Vice that we had seen ever. She's more determined, she's more confident, she's more quicker, she's more faster. Actually, they're pretty much the same thing. So again, she's become more wiser, more smarter. Technically, they're the same thing, but you guys get it. Faster, stronger. She's become pretty much more more dangerous than she's ever been, and she's even become more confident than we had ever seen her before, and she's been riding a wave of momentum ever since Worlds Collide, when she and Mr. Iguana defeated Finn Balor and Roxanne Perez of the Judgment Day at Worlds Collide in Las Vegas. So there's definitely momentum is on the side of Lola Vice, but JC Jane has been riding a wave of momentum in her own right. Let's not forget. Let's not forget she defended the TNA Knockouts title at Heat. Was it Heat Wave? I think it was Heat Wave. I think so, people. Yep. She defended the TNA Knockouts title against both Ash by Elegance and Masha Slamovich, to which Ash by Elegance pinned Masha to win the Knockouts title and bring it back home to TNA. So with all of that momentum, JC Jane has a lot, is riding high. But after what happened to Jasmine Nex last night, I have a feeling that Jasmine Nex might end up turning on JC Jane, giving Lola Vice the NXT Women's title, which is very possible, but we will have to wait and see. But with all this momentum that both women have, who deserves it more? Honestly, I think we've seen enough of. I think fans have seen enough of JC Jane as champion, and they've pretty much concluded that she's had her time as NXT Women's Champion, and I think it's time for Lola Vice to become the NXT Women's Champion. But I'm going to predict JC Jane, simply because I know that JC Jane is gonna have Fallon Henley in her corner, and Fallon will do whatever it takes to keep the title with Fatal Influence. So my money is on JC Jane. And with that being said, that will do it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments below your predictions on NXT No Mercy. And I am looking to do Q&A videos in the foreseeable future. So if you guys have any questions that you want to ask me, you can drop them also in the comments below. And that'll do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more premium live event predictions and results in the future, then be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. And as always, make sure you guys are following me on all of my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.